Hey, it's Maximo. Welcome to Maximo's Travels. Today we're in Uji, a small town nestled between Osaka and Kyoto. Uji is the world capital for matcha. We get to sample matcha. We visit the World Heritage listed Byodo-In Temple and its spectacular Phoenix Hall. We eat more matcha. We drink matcha. We feast on matcha. So join me. In this video, we're spending the day in Uji, a charming little town that's halfway between Kyoto and Osaka. We catch the regional train and travel about 20 odd kilometres and about 25 minutes to get from Kyoto station to Uji. We then walk 10 or so minutes from the train station to the Uji River to look at the very spectacular Uji Bridge. Uji is known as Matcha Town, so we came here to sample matcha in all its different incarnations, and also we wanted to come to the Buddhist temple that features the Phoenix Hall. Hey, it's Maximo, and we've arrived in Uji, Kyoto's home of matcha. I'm looking forward to sampling different matchas. Let's go. We're walking around Uji. The time is now around about 11:15, and all the shops, especially all the matcha cafes, bars, pretty much everything is closed. I do believe that things open at 11 a.m, so my tip to you would be don't come here too early. Aim to come here about 11, which isn't that far away, and everything should be opening up and humming. We made our way to the Uji River and the Uji Bridge. There's been a bridge over this river since the 6th century, that's over 1300 years. This current incarnation of bridge was built in 1996. It's been damaged and swept away by floods and natural disasters a number of times in its 1300-year history. We walked along the riverbank for a little bit and then headed over and had a walk over the bridge. It was very picturesque. We left the bridge and headed towards the Byodo-In Temple on the street that's affectionately known as Matcha Street. This street is to the left of the big torii gates. Uji isn't a very big town, and all the attractions are a nice easy walk away from each other. It's only a relatively short street, but it has a massive number of shops selling everything from matcha ice cream to tea to all sorts of different confectionery. It's a must-see if you're in the Uji area. I've just got a matcha drink. It cost 50 yen, which is about 50 Australian cents. From a vending machine over there, I'm going to give it a go. Matcha. Sweet.
Sweet?
Sweet. Nice. Quite refreshing. It wasn't too long before we came upon the Byodo-In Temple complex. This temple complex is Buddhist. It is quite extensive. It covers quite a few different temples and a fairly big garden. The admission cost is 600 yen for the gardens and the museum, and there's an additional 300 yen for the Phoenix Hall. The Phoenix Hall is the largest and most renowned temple in this complex, and it's actually featured on the back of the Japanese 10 yen coin. The temple complex opened in 998, making this over 1,000 years old. The museum and gardens are open from 8:30 to 5:30 daily, while the Phoenix Hall is open a little bit later and closes a little bit earlier. Only 50 people are allowed inside the Phoenix Hall, and you do need to reserve your spot. This can easily be done on the day. I think the wait to get into the hall was around about half an hour or so. So we got our time ticket and spent the next half an hour or so just wandering through the rest of the temple complex. The interior of the Phoenix Hall is a very religious and sacred site. One must take their shoes off to enter it, and there's no photography allowed. The hall consists of a fairly tall wooden structure with a big statue of Buddha in the middle of it. There was a quite detailed commentary by very animated staff. Unfortunately, it was all in Japanese, so we spent about 25 or so minutes in the hall listening to very enthusiastic Japanese and not really understanding what the place was all about. Couldn't really get any images even off the internet of the inside of this place, but you can see that is the statue of the big Buddha, and I did take a couple of pictures from the outside of the Phoenix Hall itself. And to be honest, if I was to do this again, I'd probably skip going to the inside of the Phoenix Hall and be happy with the majesty, splendour and architecture of the Phoenix Hall from the outside, the gardens, as well as checking out the museum. The museum is set on top of a small hill. It's really great for two reasons. One, it's a place to get out of the stifling heat and humidity, being air conditioned. And secondly, it offers a whole host of spectacular artifacts and frescoes taken from not only the Phoenix Hall, the original frescoes from the Phoenix Hall, but also from some of the other temples in the complex as well. You are able to take photos within the museum. We spent about 3/4 of an hour in the museum cooling down and spent about 2 hours in the whole of the temple complex itself. We then left the temple complex and headed outside back to Matcha Street. We didn't get very far because we saw a Starbucks. We took this as an opportunity to have a bit of a sit down and replenish our fluids and have a coffee. After this, we continued our trek down Matcha Street. Even though we just had a coffee at Starbucks, Joe and I just couldn't resist having a matcha ice cream. This was fantastic, so rich and creamy and just full of matcha flavour. Our last stop in Uji was this very inviting tea store. We actually stopped in here and sampled some of their teas. We actually bought 100 grams of their sancha tea to take home with us. So we're at a tea shop tasting tea. This is a sencha tea. It's quite nice, isn't it? Very nice. Delicate. Mm-hmm. As we headed back to the train station, Joe stumbled across a French patisserie. We just had to go in. What do you have there, Joe?
It's a well, what is it?
It's 3 balls covered in matcha.
It's pastry.
Pastry, is it like a profiterole?
I'll bite into it and let you know.
Although this is sort of a French
Patisserie.
Looks interesting.
This could be messy.
Oh, it's breaking apart.
Have I got green lips?
Yes, you have. Oh, there's matcha inside, is there? Matcha cream. Oh,
This end is going to fall off, so I'm going to...
you better have the end. Oh, that's matcha goodness in there.
Fresh matcha sprinkled on the top.
Oh, there you go. You won't be able to sleep for a week now. What's it taste like? Matcha cream. What about the pastry? Very thin.
Superb matcha cream.
Yeah.
It's like a choux pastry, so it's like a profiterole.
Right.
With some crunchy bits on top, I think.
Crunchy, yeah.
And then the matcha sprinkled on top too.
Perfect.
Quite unique and delicious.
Well, I've really enjoyed Matcha Town.
Everything matcha.
Yes.
What's the most unusual matcha thing did you see? I saw matcha gyoza.
Yeah, there was a matcha liquor, wasn't there?
Was that?
Yeah, there was a matcha liquor.
You can get matcha soba noodles too.
Yeah, that's a bit extreme.
Took a few photos of some interesting matcha things.
Yeah, okay. I might put some photos, sprinkle them in the video. I might let you savour that by yourself.
Thank you.
A bit of an accident there, Joe.
Whoops. Here we are.
Uh-oh. What about your... Oh, no, it's all over you. What about your lips? Most of mine, you've got a green tongue though. We made the short trek back to Uji station and caught the regional train and headed back towards our hotel located at Kyoto station. The train system is just so efficient in Japan. It's just a pleasure to ride on the trains, and the cost is quite affordable as well. I do hope you've liked this video. If so, please consider hitting the like and subscribe buttons and hit that notify bell to be notified of all my future videos from Japan. If you'd like to support my channel, consider buying me a coffee. Links are on the description. We made it back to the hotel for a bit of rest and recovery. Later that evening, we headed out and went to look for something to eat. We actually found some street food right near Kyoto station, so we enjoyed the expert chefs making the food, and we had a couple of bites to eat. Well, that's the end of this video. I do hope you've liked it. Until our next adventure, take care and bye now.